You guys, I figured it out. Okay, if you joined me this week for my very first live stream, the Trello Build with me for the meal planner, then you saw that I ran across a snag, as we often do when we're trying to build a new Trello board. I wasn't able to get it figured out while on the live stream, but I was determined to find a solution as soon as possible, and I promised you guys I would share it with you. So that's what I'm doing this week. But before we dive into this, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so that you never miss a tutorial or upload. Okay, so on the screen here is the meal planner. And what I was trying to do that I was not able to figure out, and I still swear, I will swear till my dying day, that there used to be a one action option for this inside of Trello automation where you could simply copy a checklist from one card over to the next. I know you can do it manually if you go in and you simply go to add a checklist and then you copy items from, right? But I don't want to do it manually. The whole point was that what I wanted to do is when I move an item from the recipe library, however it moves, whether it's our randomizer, which if you missed the live stream, make sure you go check that out because this is actually, I think, going to be a really cool board. But whether it's that way or whether it's a manual choice to do a certain recipe, I wanted the ingredients checklist that I have here to automatically copy itself onto the grocery list checklist. And then before I go to the grocery store every week, I can just pull up this one card and I can look at all the items on the checklist here and see, do I have this already or do I need to get it at the grocery store? And then anything that's left here when, after I do that inventory, I will then buy when I'm at the grocery store and I can check them off as I go. It's super simple, right? Make sure I don't miss any vital ingredients for the recipes that I plan to make that week. But when we went into automation, it wasn't an option. There was no option to copy a checklist over. And like I said, I swear there used to be one. If you have been around Trello for as long as I have, over a decade, and you remember this too, tell me in the comments because I feel like I'm going crazy. But here's the workaround. I found a way to make it happen. As you can see, I got some items on this grocery list, so I made it happen. So it is a rule. It is able to be triggered. You could do this with a button, I would imagine, but it is able to be triggered by the card being moved over into that list. This works great, but I could see that there might be one caveat here because if you use your meal plan or your randomizer, I still don't have a good name for this button. So I just called it random recipe. But if you have suggestions for a more clever name for this board button, which is basically looking at my entire recipe library and randomly choosing a recipe to throw into what I'm going to be making this week, let me know because I want this to be clever. That makes it more fun for me. But I can't come up with a clever idea. So anyways, if you click that button and it chooses a recipe and then you decide that, oh, I'm not going to make that recipe for whatever reason, I want to do something else or have it choose another random one, well, then the grocery list has already been updated, right? So I'm still kind of like thinking that through. I may decide to do this with a button instead somehow. I don't know. We shall see. But if you want to do it with if you want to do it with any of the options, you're going to need to know this. But what I've done so far is set it up as when the card goes into this week's menu. You know what I could do is I could throw a filter into this automation in the trigger and maybe have it so that when a random meal is picked, it adds a label to the card that says like random so that I still have time to kind of make a different choice or say, hey, I don't want that recipe before it adds it to the checklist. I don't know. We'll have to see. But what I've done, let's get to the point, is figured out how to get around this whole no option to copy a checklist. So what we've done here, let's just read the automation and then I'll show you how I did it. But when the card is added to the list, okay, we already said that, for each checklist item, this was the tricky part, was finding this. For each checklist item in a checklist named, and this is why, as I mentioned in the live stream, all of those cards, the recipe cards, have a checklist with the same exact name. Find card titled grocery list and add, and here we had to use one of our Trello automation variables, checklist item name, to checklist grocery list. So let's just look at this real quick and then I'll show it to you in action. It's so fun, guys. Okay, so when a card is added to list, easy. For each checklist item in checklist name, this was harder to find. So let's see where that was. It was under Cascade, believe it or not. I did not think to look there. So when we come into Cascade here, we first see all the things like find this card and mirror this card and blah, blah, blah. But we do have an option here that says for each checklist item. So this is automatically on the card. It's automatically looking at the card that triggers it, the one that moves into the list. So we're going to say the checklist name. This is where I put ingredients. I'm not going to type it again because I showed you, but this is where you put in the name of the checklist on the cards that are moving. Okay, and we hit our plus sign. That's how we got our very first action. But then we got to go into Cascade again because now we have to find the grocery list card so that it knows, okay, well, where am I moving it? So in Cascade, I said find a card titled, and here's where it does matter that you remember what you called the card. So don't forget what you called the card. But I typed in grocery list and I hit our blue plus sign. And then to add the items, I come over here to checklists. And then here, we're just right here on our simple add item to checklist action here. So add item name, but here's where we had to use the variable because it's going to be different every time, right? So instead of trying to specify what the item name is going to be, we use our variable. We've got our fancy brackets, right? Where we say checklist item name. And then we also told it which checklist it was looking for. Okay. So that was it. And then let me go ahead and show you this in action. So we've got, for example, our crockpot stroganoff. You can see here, we've got our list of ingredients. Right now, this grocery list has ingredients for something else, but this is going to get added to it when I move it over. So let's move it over. Oops. Okay. And then you can see our grocery list had 12 items on it, but now more and more are getting added. You see that? So exciting. This is one of those things where, like, as frustrating as it was during the live stream to not be able to do what I expected it to be able to do, there's something almost better about figuring it out later and then still making it happen. Maybe I'm a total nerd in that, but I kind of love when Trello or any tool kind of throws me a curveball and I don't really know what to expect, and then I figure it out. This was figured out with a combination of catching a couple other people's videos. I went back to Brittany's video that I had mentioned in the live stream, the one that kind of sparked the inspiration to do that live stream. And I saw that she first found that Cascade, because she ran into the same or similar problem in her live stream. And she found that in Cascade, the for every checklist item, and that kind of got me going. And then she had a different way that she solved it because there's more than one way to do it. But this was what worked for me and was the best solution. So I hope that if you didn't catch the live stream, you'll go over and watch it, check it out. And like I said, if you have any suggestions, any clever things to call my random recipe picker, let me know in the comments because I want to make this fun and entertaining and all that good stuff. And I'm just not coming up with any clever ideas right now. But the online tools for your business, guys, they don't need to be complicated and overwhelming. It's time to let it be easy. I hope that you liked that video and more importantly that you found it helpful. And if you did, I hope you'll consider subscribing to the channel and sharing it with a fellow solopreneur. And make sure that you check out the description for links for how we can connect and maybe even work together.